take me out of this deep end of the pool that we just jumped into. Are you kidding? I would love it. All Winrys get hugs. You look adorable. What a great Winry too. What's your name?
Keisha?
Keisha, you look perfect. You're the perfect Winry, I think. Awesome. Okay, yes. You know, we're going with proposal. I'm not. Oh, you know what, brotherhood? You know what? Oh my gosh, you're the first person to ask me that. I don't remember exactly what he said. Do you remember? Here, wait a minute. She's going to be my prompter. She's going to tell me what to say. Hold on. Oh, I remember. He starts out and he goes, he's all nervous, right? And he goes, equivalent exchange. And Remy looks at him and he's like, I'll give you half of my life if you'll give me half of yours. Right? Yay! I remembered! Yes, sir.
My name is Darren, and it's my dream job being an anime voice actor, so after I get to college, where should I go and attend demos?
Great question. In fact, I'm really glad you asked because I know a lot of people have that question. Getting into voice acting. I wish I had better news for you, but you do want me to be honest, right? No! Here's the honest truth. I was blessed enough, and I mean that sincerely. God blessed me to give me the chance to do what I do, because I discovered, I kind of stumbled into the anime business 13 or so years ago when it was still very small. So I was very fortunate to get involved in it when I did. Nowadays, it's not as easy. It's not as easy, it's a lot harder, because there are a lot of people that want to do it. However, if it's something you really have a passion for, here's what's involved. Two things. Number one, acting. I know that sounds funny, but voice acting, the operative word is acting. Do you guys remember when dubs used to be really bad? I mean, some of the old school fans, you remember, right? I mean, some of the older fans that know stuff from 30 years ago, 20, 30 years ago, you guys remember. They were kind of lame. Do you know why they were lame? I'll tell you. Because back then, when companies were going to dub something into English, their brilliant idea was, let's get people who are familiar with a microphone. So they got radio guys. People that DJs and radio personalities and people that knew how to work the microphone. And they would dub these characters. Well, the guys had this really cool resonant voice, DJ voice, whatever. But the problem was they weren't actors. So whenever it got to very powerful, dramatic moments, the things kind of fell flat because the people were not actors. They didn't really know how to communicate the emotions of the character. But about, I don't know, maybe 15 years ago, some company had the brilliant idea of hiring actors to play the characters. And so dubs took a dramatic turn for the better. And so what I will tell you is that almost every voice actor that I know is an actor, first and foremost. They've got loads of experience on stage, on camera, maybe even training, like in college, theater, that kind of stuff. I do. Literally, I bet I know 100 voice actors, and I can think of 2 that didn't have any acting experience before they started voice acting. That's the common thread there, is acting. The second thing is location. You have to be where the work is. You know? I've said this before, if you've seen it on YouTube, I apologize, but it's still true. If I wanted to be a country western singer, I'd move to Nashville, right? That's where that kind of thing happens. That's the scene for that kind of thing. There are certain cities in our country that are known for certain things. And if you want to get involved in that, then that's where you would go to get the best chance of working. The entertainment business, you would think immediately what? New York, Los Angeles, Even now, guys, even now, it's spreading out. I will tell you a little secret. Los Angeles is dying. And I don't have mine, actually. A lot of waste, a lot of garbage that goes on out there. But as technology has improved, allowing people to shoot high definition, beautiful stuff and record amazing stuff with technology that was so much more expensive. You know, some of you have cameras in your hands right now that could shoot as good an image if you knew how to light it properly and compose the shot properly. You could shoot as good an image as something they shot in a movie theater for the movies 20 years ago, 10 years ago maybe. The technology is right there for you. You don't have to be a studio anymore to make something of real quality. You don't have to have a recording studio to make a piece of music that sounds great. With GarageBand and MIDI instruments and a halfway decent microphone, which is very inexpensive now. You have software on your computer that records audio, digital audio. You can do stuff now in your bedroom that sounds better than something they recorded 15 years ago in a $100,000 recording studio. So that's the good thing for you. You're replacing time in history where you've got these tools at your disposal that don't cost a lot of money. But you have to be where certain types of work are. I'll tell you something. Los Angeles, the studios in Los Angeles, for the longest time, they wouldn't cast me in anything. You know why? Because I lived in Houston, Texas. It didn't matter that I had 4 pages of credits on IMDb. That didn't matter. It didn't matter whether I could do the job or not. What mattered to them was they want you right there on the other side of the glass so they can talk to you and explain what they want, and they can hear you perform it, and they go, okay, yeah, okay, just make it a little lower now and slow it down. Go. They want to have you there to actually direct you. So I had to be in Los Angeles. And it wasn't until I moved out there that I started doing stuff like Naruto, Bleach, and Vampire Night, and Kakaishi, and all these other things. So my point is, you have to be where the work is. And that's not a guarantee for anything, okay? One of the problems with any kind of an artistic or creative endeavor is that there are a lot of people that want to do it. So I don't want to be unrealistic. I want you guys to be realistic. That there's a lot of competition, and you probably need to get some training in something that'll help you pay the bills while you're pursuing your dream. That's only smart, you guys. Don't be naive. Don't think, hey, as soon as I move to Dallas, Funimation's going to be clamoring at my door to come and be their next big star. That's not going to happen. Highly unlikely. And that's not to say anything about you. That's just the reality of the world. So, 2 things. Acting experience, get some acting. If you want to be a voice actor, get into stage plays, get in school productions, get in community theater, get in church productions. Develop your skills as an actor. And then secondly, you got to be where the work is. Now, one way you can get voice experience in Seattle, because this is a big city, there's a lot happening in Seattle. But probably a lot of it is voiceover work, as opposed to voice acting work. Do you understand the delineation? Voiceover work is like commercial work. Call the women's hotline right now if you need help, right? If you're suffering from hemorrhoids, right? Right? You know, Bank of America, your bank next door, whatever, that kind of thing. That's voiceover, and it's everywhere. Any city that has more than 100 people in it has retail businesses that need to advertise. And they're going to look for people that can be their voice guys, can be their on-camera people. So that kind of work is available. And all you need to do is get some good recording, like get a nice microphone, get some scripts, you can download them off the internet. Find some demo scripts of different commercials, and put together a demo reel. And here's the best thing you can do. Think of a voice actor who you really like. Not me. That did not come out right. Anybody. And find their demo online and use it as a template. Find somebody who has accomplished, who is set and established in the business, and find their demo online and use it as an example of what to do, what not to do. A guy sent me a demo the other day. He's like, will you please listen to my demo, Vic? I'm like, sure. And I listened to it. And you know what it was? It was 4 minutes of him doing this the whole time. Now the problem with that is, you don't do anything for 4 minutes in a demo. You do it for about 10 seconds. And then you have to have some variety. He just did this one voice, this one kind of character voice, for like 4 minutes. And he's like, be brutally honest with me, Vic. I want to know what you think. And I'm like, well, it needs to be less than a minute, and you need to showcase several different voices and capabilities. And none of them should be more than like 10 seconds long. Because somebody listening to your audition, you're gonna lose them. You'll lose them, they'll turn it off, and they'll move on to something else. So look for somebody online that with an example of a demo that you like, and make one, and then contact agencies in Seattle that represent talent agencies. There are actors, on-camera actors that have talent agencies, and there are voice acting. I mean, there are talent agencies in Seattle that have voice actors and voiceover artists in their directory. And when some company in Seattle needs to make a promo video, or when some company in Seattle wants to make a TV commercial or a campaign on the radio, they're going to call these talent agencies and they're going to say, send us some auditions for these things. And then if you were with that agency, they'll call you in and you'll record an audition. That's how it starts. Let me see, how are we doing here? Oh my goodness, you're kidding. It's 3:15. Man, I should have asked for 2 hours. Yes, my dear?
My friend and I just started watching the other night, and we were wondering what it was like to play Zero.
You know what was the most fun about playing Zero? Playing Ichiru. You know what I mean? Zero was so cool, but I didn't even know he had a twin brother. I'm serious. That's my favorite. That was my favorite part. To get to play these two characters that talk to each other, and interact with each other, and fight with each other, and shoot each other. That was so cool. Can I tell you, when I got the phone call from Bang Zoom telling me that I was going to be playing that role, he left a voicemail for me. And this is how the voicemail went. Vic, I want to congratulate you. You'll be playing Zero and Ichiru. Now, I didn't even know who Ichiru was, so I was like, yes, Zero! I get to play Zero! Who the heck is Ichiru? I didn't even know he had a brother. But what we would do is we would go in and we would record all of Zero's part, and then we would go back to the beginning, and then get into the Ichiru mindset, and we would record all of Ichiru's. So it was fun to be hearing my own recorded Zero lines in my headphones, and then answering back and talking back. How many of you know that the Japanese voice actor who played Zero also played Tamaki? How many of you knew that? How cool is that, right? Mamoru Mayano, I believe is his name. I want to meet him. I want to do a convention with him. And I want to sing a song with him. Because remember the song you hear, Guilty Beauty Love? That's Tamaki's song. See that up there? That's Tamaki's song. And Mamoru Mayano-san recorded that song, and it's on one of my CDs too. I translated it into English and made my version. How fun would it be for me and him to do a convention together? And like, he sings the first line in Japanese, and then I sing the second line in English. You know what I mean? That would be so fun. I may fanboy a little bit. Your sister's on the phone?
Sister.
How old is she? She's 12?
Yes.
And what's her name?
Allison.
Hi, Allison. Hi, baby. How are you? Well, I'm just wonderful too, since I get to talk to you. How come you're not at the convention with your sister? Well, you're allowed to come too, honey. Okay, I tell you what, I'm gonna to give your sister something to give to you, okay? And I want you to promise you're going to come see me sometime, okay? All right, thanks. Nice to meet you, sweetheart.
Thank you so much.
Oh my gosh, how can I ignore the giant hammer? Is that a hammer or is it an oil drum? Oh my gosh. I love Oron with a bloody passion. You guys, I don't know, I probably told you this already, but Oron was one of the few shows that I knew anything about before I dubbed it. Caitlin Glass contacted me and she said, there's this show that I just saw and you remind me of this character so much. Now the funny thing, you guys, is this was before the show was even licensed. So it wasn't like Funimation's doing this show and you should audition for this guy. It wasn't that at all. It was just Caitlin going, OMG, I found this show and you should watch some of it because there's this character that reminds me of you. So Caitlin gave me like the first 3 episodes. And I watched it because I love Caitlin. And I immediately fell in love with Tamaki. I'm like, oh my gosh, he is so dorky and adorable, and he takes himself so seriously. He thinks he's so romantic, and then next thing you know, he's building a hamster home in the corner. I love this guy. I love him. But you know what, you guys? That was a bad move on my part. You don't fall in love with a character before you ever get the chance to play the character. Because you're setting yourself up for some big disappointment, right? It's kind of like jinxing yourself, you know what I mean? It's like walking up to the plate going, I gotta hit a home run, I gotta hit a home run, I gotta hit a home run, right? It's almost like assuring you're gonna strike out, you know? So, but the good news is that shortly after that, Funimation got the license for the show, but then still you have to audition. So I went in and auditioned for Tamaki, and Caitlin knew I wanted to play Tamaki. And she toyed with me. I went in there and she said, I walked into the room and she said to me, quote, well, we know who you want to read for. I was like, I was so nervous, you guys. I'd done like 80 shows by that point, and I was nervous. Why? Because I fell in love with that character and I really wanted to play it. So I went in there and I did my best Tamaki, and then you know what Caitlin said to me? Do you want to read for anybody else? I'd be like, and I was like, okay, yeah, I'll read for Kyoya. And I'll read for one of those weird twins. So I read for these other characters, but secretly I'm like, if I end up getting cast as one of the, and you know, not getting to play Tamaki, could you imagine how hard it would be if I'd have gotten cast, let's say for instance, if I'd have gotten cast as Kyoya, imagine, oh I could do it. Not as good as Michael, not as good as Michael Taylor, but here's my point. Had I gotten cast as him, imagine how much I love Tamaki and recording all of those scenes as Kyoya, watching Tamaki on the screen, and somebody else's voice coming out of him. I would be like, but thank God, I got to play Tamaki, and it's one of my favorites. People ask me who my favorite character was that I ever played. I would have to say Ed. I mean, there's no way that I could not play that gorgeous little pipsqueak as long as I did and not totally love him. Thank you. But Tamaki Suo is a very close second place. Very close. I mean, Ed had better keep running because Tamaki is right on his heels. I love Tamaki so much. Yes, sweetie? On the floor in your adorable cosplay. Yeah. Did you have a question? Did you not think I was going to see you down here? What? Get up here. Of course you can. You're a little tall. Thank you. Okay, you know what? We have time. 1 second, we gotta spread it out here. We have just a little bit of time left, you guys. He was giving me my 10-minute mark, so. Oh my gosh, he's jumping a red wall. Take one question.
Tiger down.
Oh, of course. Everybody gets hugs. That's not even a question. That's like, give me a hug. Will I do a short rant with you? Well, the question is, will you do one with me? That's the question. Okay, what's your favorite short rant?
Where he calls the people backwater the other day.
Okay, I'm gonna hear you do it. Give me your best short rant.
Sure, can we start do this?
Let me stop you right there. You need to do it louder. I mean, you need to be screaming, okay? This is your chance, all right? Let her rip, ready?
Sorry, can we start do this? I'm stuck on the backwater desert idiots.
What's your name? Not anymore. I'm gonna call you Edwina. That was awesome. This is just weird. Oh, okay. Let's go back over here. Yes, right here. Yes. Of course, you guys come here. Guys, asking for a hug does not qualify as a question.
I almost fell!
Here's the thing though, all these people have questions.
My turn!
Okay, hold on a second. Who has an actual question?
Yeah!
Do you have a question? Dude, if I call on you and you go, did I have a hug? I'm gonna kill you. I'm convinced. And everybody's gonna witness it. And then I'm gonna jail. That's what you want, isn't it? Which homunculus scares you the most? Oh my gosh. How did anyone ever?
Yeah, that's what?
I don't think anyone's ever asked me that. That's a great question. Okay, hold on, let me think about it. Oh, I had the mic up. Did you hear it? He said, what homunculus scares me the most? You know what? Let me think. Well, definitely not lust. I can promise you. Yes, there one day. And you know what? My initial answer was going to be envy, but not so much, because envy jokes too much. You know what I'm saying? She's a little bit too, Who played envy? Wendy Powell. That's why I call envy cheap, because I think of Wendy. But I'm so sorry. I told Wendy that from now on I'm going to call her Wendy. Yeah, she jokes too much, so she's not as scary. He's not as scary. Let me, the voice isn't scary. Can I eat the pigeon? That's not scary. I mean, it's a scary character. I mean, like when Lang and Ed get swallowed, and they're inside his stomach, that's gross. That's a little scary. Who would it be? Yeah, you know, Swab. No, yeah, that was the one that posed as the mom, right? That was kind of scary. Yeah. Greed, not so much. You know what's hard? I just realized something. Do you know why it's hard for me to pick one? It's because when I think of the homunculus, I think of the actors.
Which actor stares?
So for me, I'm like, oh, Chris Patton's not scary. Woody Powell's not scary, you know? These guys, you know, Chris Case is not scary. I love these guys. I have 1 minute. You have a question? Is it really a question? I love you. Okay. Yes. Yes. Oh, good. Good for you. Good for you. Oh, yes. Yes. Oh, no, where's my screen? Where's my screen? Oh, I'll see you down there, right? Hold on. Yeah, we record everything in a soundproof padded room. So, oh yeah, so all that screaming and stuff, yeah, you don't want to be near that. It's,